Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we're going to be diving down into the desktop to take a look at what has been going on with Bitcoin. Are we expecting a heavy pullback? Is the worst behind us? Or is there actually a little bit more to go down? First guys, as we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so you are going to be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all of that said, done and out of the way, let's jump on down into the desktop, take a look at what is going on here with Bitcoin and what I think is likely to happen next. Okay, we're going to start things off guys. As you can see, I've been drawing on here already, but with what I think is likely to happen in the short term. Okay, so here we can obviously see there's multiple kind of corrective patterns appearing, pretty much a sideways kind of trade. This is kind of what I was expecting to happen yesterday, and right now we obviously have this ABC to the upside, just in a corrective pattern. And again, we actually reached a point a little bit short of my expectations, but again, very much aligned to the 1-to-1 ratio, just a little short of it, and we're starting to see the reversal in there now. As I come in bringing the stochastic RSI back in here, we can of course see that we're overbought, right? So very important that we understand that there's likely going to be a downturn, and if this is the top of our C wave, then obviously we'd have an ABC to the downside. This hourly stochastic RSI would support such a move to the downside. Okay, so let's actually go ahead and take a look at what is going on here on a slightly larger framework, right? Because we actually have an A wave down, a B wave up, all of this I guess kind of choppy sideways trading falls inside this larger C wave. This C wave actually giving us a kind of an area of probability somewhere in that range of 40,800 through to about 41,300. So we're looking at this next ABC move to the downside. We are probably going to land somewhere inside of this area here. Okay, so that's kind of where the probability aspect of this one comes in. Now obviously on our stochastic RSI we are overbought. Okay, so the chances are we're going to be heading down to the oversold area. In order to get there, we have to sell a lot of BTC, for example. So we do anticipate a bit of a pullback here. We can see the volumes are pretty much relaxed quite a bit since the higher volumes that we were having, either moving to the upside or in fact moving to the downside, right? And this sideways trading is just basically indicating that not a lot of activity was going across and over the weekend. And although there was a little bit of a push here, this is just because we were so oversold that we had to push to the upside. Again, continuing this sideways trade. Now that's the other thing that's really important to note, is that we had this push down and then we had the sideways trade, right? And the sideways trade is also known as a continuation pattern. It's a continuation of the trend that led into it, i.e. we're going down, we continue to go sideways, and then we'll continue to go down. Okay, so the continuation pattern here basically is very, very choppy. We were looking at this as a bigger ABC move, from our double bottom just here. Okay, we were looking at this as a an ABC up with an A. We're looking for a B, we found the C, and then of course we had that smaller ABC just there. Again, a little bit overextended on the standard kind of correction. Now obviously the following ABC would take us into this range, I do believe, but we cannot guarantee that. We do not know until we actually get the first wave forming, so that we know a rough kind of area of where we're aiming here with Bitcoin on the smaller time frame. So again, this is the hourly chart, right? This is what I think is likely to happen, and probably over the next 24 to 48 hours, right? Really small time frame, and that's the high probability is that we're going to be pulling down into that range of 40,800 to approximately 41,300, or somewhere in that kind of range. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about on the smaller time frames. Now, obviously, we can see that we're overbought on this small time frame. As we build this up into our 4-hourly, we can also see that we've moved that needle all the way from oversold to overbought without actually doing any decent price bump to the upside, right? We've been trading sideways, and during this sideways trade we were oversold, and now we're heading up into the overbought area. This is a bad sign, but again, something that you would expect to see from a continuation pattern like this. You basically take us down into an oversold area from the higher points, and you then push it up into the overbought area without actually moving that price significantly higher, and then obviously this allows you for a nice tremendous pullback as well. So everything's lining up for a bit of a pullback here. Now on the 8 hourly, we're actually oversold already. This is actually a really good lineup on the 8 hourly chart, and this is basically a little bit ahead of what's going on with the 4 hourly and the hourly. This is basically saying we are going to be pushing up, and it's going to be a really good run to the upside, but we're just not ready yet. And as we get into that daily, you can see that this needs a correction too. Now there's no guarantee that this pulls all the way down to the oversold area, but there's a high probability of it. When you take a look at these things, you know, they usually go from overbought to oversold to overbought to oversold to overbought, and sometimes there's a little bit of volatility in the middle, but for the most part you're basically just bouncing it between the two zones. So there's a high probability that this is actually going to lower itself down into the oversold area. Now obviously on this daily chart, there's a lot of things that can wipe that out very fast, and there's a lot of things that can take their time to play out. Obviously here we actually have an increase in volume pushing the price up on the daily chart, and we have a decrease in volume pushing the price down. That's actually a very good corrective pattern you want to see, because ultimately what that means is we aren't likely to go down into new lower lows. They've all been invalidated on this run to the upside, right? Or at least the majority of them, not all of them, but the majority of them. So what we have here is a decrease in volume whilst we're correcting, and that actually gives us encouragement to say that this is a big ABC move that might take us down towards these areas down here of $37,000 through to $39,000. I've spoken about that before, and obviously in that journey take the stochastic down into the oversold area, are ready for the next bump to the upside. Now with that, obviously Brill's in the weekly. The weekly is actually right up and down here, ready for a nice good swing to the upside, and of course, you know, we are talking about new all-time highs here for Bitcoin. Let me just correct that. So yeah, new all-time highs here for Bitcoin, okay, pushing well above $100,000 here on this last leg. So there's a lot of really good things going on the larger time frames, but there is a little bit of a need for a bit of a pushback, right? A little bit of a pullback, nothing too major. And again, this is just that if you missed out on accumulation on the way up, right? You know, it wasn't that long ago people were talking about, oh, I wish I'd bought here and I wish I bought there. And well, you're getting this opportunity, and there's a high probability that we're actually going to complete this worrying pattern that we've spoken about before. You know, this one here where we were kind of, you know, for no reason pushing up. We traded sideways, we pushed up, we traded out, and then we come down, and we come down, right? So obviously this is a big bull flag. Over here, a bit of a bear flag, although it doesn't really meet the exact requirements for it. You can kind of look at it as continuation, like a continuation pattern here and here. And obviously the probability is that you come down. Okay, now obviously I have my first set of targets here. This is probably not going to be where we actually end up on the kind of medium term, but this is a short-term target. After this, we'd probably look towards coming down towards that $39,000 range, and maybe even a little bit lower. And so in essence, this whole C wave here, this is the first set. We then expect a small ABC, and then from there potentially, you know, let's say from here we just end up with something that like this that actually takes us down towards these slightly lower ranges. And again, there's a lot in this area to be kind of really monitoring, and again you actually have a very similar pattern here where we pushed up and went sideways, etc. So on that smaller time frame, you know, we are expecting this kind of pullback. On the medium time frame, I wouldn't be surprised if we pulled down towards $39,000, maybe a little bit lower, and again completing this kind of pattern. And again, it really depends on whether or not we actually end up with a practically a straight line down like a pole, and then a continuation sideways, and i.e. a bear flag, that actually take us down into those lower ranges. But too soon to really say, just kind of speculating on that on the smaller time frames. On our daily chart, of course, though, it can be a little bit clearer to see. For example, if we just expand this up a little bit, and then let me just remove all the stuff off here. This, it could be an A wave, we look for a B wave, and then we come back down into those sub $40,000 ranges, but it is still corrective, right? And as a corrective pattern, it means it's short term, it's not long term. And again, the longer term play is very, very apparent here on our weekly chart, where we're talking about new all-time highs for Bitcoin. And so, yeah, guys, I really do think that we are likely to see a pretty significant correction. But that's what it is. It is just a corrective pattern. It is corrective, meaning that it's not a trend. And obviously the trend is to the upside, but there are these natural and very much required corrections that happen. And this is a good point to maybe lock in those profits nice and high, buy them back down nice and cheap. And again, this basically allows you then to build a position ahead of the next big surge to the upside. So guys, I'm going to leave that video right there. If you have found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then do go ahead and subscribe. Tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you are going to be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.